I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. About to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters Talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half step on Marcus J is live. We are in the building, ready to have an outstanding show as we do every single Monday at this time. Very excited. Normally tease it, not going to. Just going to give you a little bit. Today is Kobe Bryant's birthday. The late Kobe Bryant's birthday, Hall of Famer. We are dedicating tonight's show to him and his daughter and the others that we lost on that tragic day in January of 2020. So obviously we'll have some words on the legend and some words on some other stuff. You are watching, listening, and chilling with Ain't No Hashtag with Marcus J. Is live from New Den Legacy and that radio right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get
Button your lip. Open your ears. Strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't No Hashtag on Marcus J is live from New Den Legacy and that radio. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be part of the flagship show heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you to everybody that's rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks that are already checking us out on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live. We appreciate those folks that have always supported us. They might be watching the feed at a future time. You're looking at our archives. However it is that you decide to rock with us, we will roll with y'all. Get a couple of salutations out. Peace to my cousin Selwyn is checking us out already. Peace to you, brother. Good to see you rocking with us, and thank you for your support. Peace to Caleb saying assalamu alaikum, beloved. Walaikum salam to you, beloved. We appreciate your support as well. So as we can see, we'll we got a little bit of some personnel differences going on today, which I'll explain here in just a few moments here. But before we get into any of that, let us get into the usual suspects. You hear our brother join us right there from his spot every single Monday night, live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. My brother John is in the house. What to do, homie?
What is up, my brother? How you feeling?
Hey, man, I can't call it. How you doing?
I'm good. I mean, I was out this weekend doing some 35-year-old ish. I'm 53 years old, so I'm a little bit tired and exhausted. And, but I'm gonna be all right.
They would say, "You think you grown? You think you grown, bro? You think you grown?"
Yeah, I thought I was.
You thought you was grown.
Yeah, I thought.
Did
I
you find out
realized. Yeah, I found out. And I ain't grown. I'm old.
Well, you share as much as you want to share, as you can.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's enough right there. Just know I was behaving not appropriate of a man of a certain age, and they caught up with me. So right now, if people notice I'm a little bit laid back, I'm beat.
So let me get a little bit more clarity on our guest that is checking us out, that's sharing some love. Hopefully, with respect, I'm pronouncing your name properly, but I'm saying Caleb, Lil John, the more peace and blessings from Brooklyn, and he's saying peace to the brothers. So peace to you as well. So thank you.
That's my bro, Samoda B.
Samoda B. That's what it is. Also joining us here,
Kareem
live,
Gresham Bay.
Kaleem. I'm sorry. Kaleem, I appreciate you. Also joining us here, as you can see, our sister Steph B is not in the house with us tonight. We miss her and love her, and we love her. We'll have her back in her spot in a future show. Hopefully she's listening and potentially rocking with us. And actually a couple of more salutations. Let me get in here before I move on to our special guest. All right, so my brother Sam is saying just in time. Yeah, you just in time, brother. It's about to be on. Peace to the OG, my brother Tim Casey, legendary promoter here in the Richmond, Virginia area. First man to put Marcus J on the radio, OG Tim Casey. So much love to you, brother. Appreciate you rocking with us here tonight. It's been 10 years, man. It's been a long time. And you was the first one to give me a mic. So I'm going to give you that same love I give to the brother Jay Grizzy because you put him on. So thank you. Ain't no Hastel Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and Net Radio is happy and proud to bring to the radio spot. He's in for Steph B tonight. My brother, my partner, and my best friend, the pretty boy Damon, is in with us today. What up, homie?
What's up, kid? How you doing, bro?
Man, it's good to see you here, man.
It's great to be here. Every time I get to sit in on the show, it's unfortunate Steph's not here, but I'm gonna try and do you some justice, Steph.
Yeah,
I know you be holding it down.
She's prettier than you, though.
She's way prettier than me.
Yeah,
way prettier.
Yeah, so you got your hands full.
Yeah. So
that's something that's not easily accomplished either.
Yeah,
no doubt.
No doubt. You glad to be here, man?
Oh, of course.
Have you had a good time?
I've had a wonderful time this weekend. I came down. I've actually been down to see my son off for his junior year at VSU. So I got some chance to spend some time with him yesterday and send him off. But had a great weekend.
Well, you mentioned, your son at VSU, as everybody can see. I'm all decked out in my Virginia Commonwealth University, all the way down to the socks. Yeah, and as you can see, it says VCU dad. Very proud dad. I'll say more about it later on in my rant and in my closing. But tonight's show, while it's dedicated to Kobe Bryant, also showing love to Mama J, who starts her college university career this week. And so love you, baby girl. Daddy is supporting and rocking with you. I am a Virginia Commonwealth University dad. So I got the hat, I got the shirt, and I got the socks, and I spent plenty of money on para But that's how you do it when it's your progeny involved. So ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. So the weekend, man, we always chop it up a little bit. How much time we got? Yeah, we just started, so we got a little bit of time. So anything cool, John? Any highlights? Anything you want to share that's jumping out for you?
Nothing I want to share except for, like I said, I gotta learn my place.
Yeah, learn your place.
Yeah, my body's talking to me right now.
You feeling it?
I'm feeling it right now. It's telling me, slow up, old man.
Yeah, man.
Slow up.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm gonna have to catch that story offline. Damon, I know you said you had a good weekend. Anything that you would like to share?
As far as what, my weekend?
Yeah, man. We always chop it up a little bit.
How whenever I come down, we always have a good time. Just being able to spend time with the family and get to spend time with some friends of yours. Want to give a shout out to my girl Sue. We was chilling with Sue yesterday.
Yeah,
and I got to tell you, for y'all that see her on Facebook, y'all need to get down with what she's doing in the kitchen. I mean, let me tell you something, bro. She had some good food yesterday, and we just had a little sampling of it. So shout out to Sue. Don't y'all usually do the hey Sue?
When she checks in.
Oh, when she checks in.
When she checks in,
I he's gonna be able to do
we'll give her the appropriate love.
Yeah.
When she checks in.
Smoke Cave, yeah, she's doing a thing. My God, ribs.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in their radio. So James is saying congratulations to us. So congratulations to us, and thank you, James. We appreciate you saying that. All right, so let's get it, man. Today would be the 43rd birthday of the Hall of Famer, the Black Mamba, one of the greatest basketball players ever to play in the National Basketball Association or anywhere else in the world. You know him as Kobe Bean Bryant, who obviously we lost tragically in a helicopter accident early in 2020. We don't have to get into any of the bad stuff. We could certainly spend a little bit of time talking about Kobe and what he meant to us. With the NBA season, starting up just in a few weeks. I guess training camp is going to start in a few weeks, and I believe the first set of games are going to be played probably somewhere in the middle part, somewhere in the teens of October, somewhere in that range. So we're about a little less than 2 months out, and the NBA season really just isn't going to be the same. It's almost like those of us who are baseball fans, and when we lost Thurman Munson in the helicopter crash on August 2nd, right in the heart of the baseball season, 1979, the Yankees kept his locker, for the next 30 years until they moved stadiums. They kept his locker vacant. Like, that's what it's like when you have a young player. And in Kobe's case, he was a couple of years retired, but obviously his impact has been felt and is still being felt across the National Basketball Association. So, Damon, you up first. Whatever you got on Kobe Bean Bryant, I want to have some reflections on Kobe before we move forward. We talk about some other stuff.
Like you said, Kobe, one of the greatest NBA players that have ever, laced him up. I'll be honest to say, while he was playing, I was never really a big Kobe fan. I used to go back and forth with the arguments: who was better, Mike or Kobe, and whatnot. Everybody talking about how Kobe was a ball hog, blah blah blah. But I mean, in all honesty, he's probably one of the stronger ambassadors for the sport of basketball. The things that he did outside of the game of basketball, being able to see him with his family and how special his family was to him and whatnot, and the tragic loss of him and his daughter was something that's probably going to be felt for many, many years to come.
John, I remember watching Kobe play basketball in 1996, and I remember when let's go back before that, when he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. A lot of people forget that part. And he was traded by Jerry, his name is escaping me. Jerry West, who was the GM of the Lakers at the time, and Lakers legend, and the logo, like the NBA logo, was the GM of the Lakers. And he traded Vlade Divac to Charlotte for Kobe Bryant. And I want to say that was a straight up man for man trade, or maybe a small player. And I remember thinking he was out of his mind, absolutely out of his mind, because I didn't know who Kobe was. Most of us didn't, know who he was. He was a high schooler. He came out of high school, and Vlade Divac had just replaced I guess it was Kareem that he had replaced a few years earlier. He had made his name in the National Basketball Association to the point where, you know, we gotta show this dude some love, and he gets traded for a kid.
Fresh out of high school.
Fresh out of high school kid who gets drafted, and he ends up on the Lakers, and he stuck up the gym a little bit the first year, but obviously it was just the first year. So that's my brief. I got a bunch of brief reflections, but certainly, John, go wherever you choose to go with any reflection you have about Kobe.
I'm gonna tell you what Jerry West knew, and what a few people who knew him knew. What they was getting, they were getting an assassin, right? They were getting somebody with that killer attitude, right? Kobe was gonna win, and he would do anything to win. And if he didn't win by 1 point or 50 points, if he didn't win, there was no joy in Mudville, right? There was nothing to be. The win was all it was about for him. And when you have somebody like that on your team, the attitude seems to catch on. They was catching on for a while, and they were able to build a team around him. Yes. I remember, I think it was his second year, not his first year, watching him go up against Michael Jordan and watching the similarities in their game. Like, it was like watching a carbon copy. You know what I mean? And it was just incredible to watch. And at that point, second or third season, it was understood this is heir apparent, right? And mind you, he's not even 21 at the time. He's like 20 years old, and he's given that mantle as heir apparent. So he was able to work through the pressure of that. He was able to keep his head on straight, being a kid, never really got in any trouble as a kid anyway. And he played the game on a level that very few have ever played it on. So, I mean, gone too soon. He had a lot of philanthropic thing that he was dealing with. He was a big advocate of women's basketball. He had books and movies and things that he was doing that was amazing. And the loss, you never get over a loss like that. Nothing ever fills that void. It's just empty, and it remains empty forever.
Yeah, you know, I got a few remembrances of Kobe that I'd like to share. One of them was in the National Basketball Association All-Star game with Michael Jordan, where he's matched up with Mike in the game, and you know, you can see that, you know, there's literally no intimidation in him. Like Michael literally what's the character on Mortal Kombat, Shang Tsung, where he would literally take your soul from you, you know what I mean, and become you because he just took your soul. Like Michael Jordan was doing that to cats. Like Michael Jordan was taking souls from competitors, cats that had been in the league longer than him, cats who grew up wearing his shoes, you know what I mean, old and young. Like Michael Jordan just intimidated people. He's Michael Jordan, but he never intimidated Kobe. Like you can see that he didn't intimidate Kobe. And here you have this kid who would talk about how he had his friends and family send him tapes when he was living in Italy, when his dad, Joe Jellybean Bryant, was playing in Italy, and Kobe would have those tapes sent to him over there, and he would study Magic and Larry and Michael and the other great stars of, you know, the era prior to him. And then he comes to the league and he shows no fear against the top dog, to the point where it's like, I'm gonna be better than you. You had to love that. You had to love that. He had that dog in him, and it wasn't a whole lot of happy times in the locker room when they wasn't winning. You know, I feel bad as a fan because I really think that Shaq and Kobe had more chips in them, and that, you know, didn't work out. I mean, we can sit and we can talk about whose fault that was, but I don't know that we would get anywhere, John. I mean, what's your thoughts on, you know, old guy seeing young guy potentially taking his shine and maybe not being very happy about that, or young guy seeing old guy not work hard enough and realizing that if he did, we can get so much further? I mean, that's your argument, Shaq and Kobe. I mean, I know there was more chips that were left on the table that we didn't see because they couldn't get along. And Shaq, of course, gets traded to Miami.
Everybody associated with the NBA will tell you that all of his career except for maybe 1 year, Shaquille O'Neal played at about 50% of his capacity because he didn't work out. He was never in shape. I think 1 year he was in shape. Somebody got on him about it, and he took it personal. He lost some weight. He got in shape. He dominated that year too. But for most of the time, he was out making records, hanging out, getting endorsements, doing other things. He was not concerned with winning. He didn't care about winning as much as he cared about getting paid and expanding his brand. That's who Shaq was. And with Kobe, who's all about winning. Like Kobe, if Kobe could get guaranteed a win, he would have played for no money. See, that's the difference. See, I always tell people success, right, is when you do something, when you're doing something that you would spend money to do, right? But getting someone to pay you to do it, that's success. And Kobe would have worked the job and paid money to get in the gym and shoot the basketball. That was his love. So, and Shaq just didn't have that. They weren't going to work but for so long. So did they have more chips in them? I don't think so. I think it was lucky they got what they got because they were two diametrically opposed individuals, right? And what they both figured out later on in their careers, but especially Kobe, is you be as dope as you think you are, right? But you're not the coach. And I tell people that all the time when they're doing things. A lot of business people, entrepreneurs and stuff. I'm like, yo, bro, you good. You might be Michael Jordan in this, but you're not Phil Jackson. You're not the coach. You don't know how to get the best out of your personnel. You got to find somebody who does if you really want to be successful in what you're doing. And, that's what Kobe found out later on in life. He make no mistake. He brought Phil Jackson to the Lakers. That was his call all the way. And, back to the Lakers, however it went. And they won those chips because of that. Because you need that. Because when you're as good as a player like Kobe is, gifted, talented, you can't coach that. You can't tell anybody to be Kobe. Either you are or you're not. Same thing with Michael Jordan. You can't coach that. That just is what it is. You got to coach around it and make it successful. So Shaq found that out later in his career. Kobe found that out later in his career. I don't think they would have had more chips together. They were just two different people, and I'm glad they got the chips that they did because it goes on to be legend that we talk about to this day. But they both knew what it was at the time. So.
Ain't no half Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy and that radio. Damon, when you think about Kobe Bryant and you think about what was left on the field, as we say, on the field, on the court, whatever it is we want to call it. Here you have a guy in the last game that he ever played in his career, he scored like 60 points. I mean, he scored 60. Like, that's the number that cats aspire to. That 90% of the players in the league never even get to. 45, 50, 55. This cat scored 60 in his last game in his 20th season. Kobe Bryant. Talk to me about when you saw Kobe, just you, one man. When you saw Kobe, do you have him on a level ahead of the greats? Is he the great? Just talk to me a little bit about your feeling about where he belongs in the hierarchy of greatest players ever to lace him up.
I really do think that he is one of the greatest players that ever played the game. I mean, he's one of those guys that was on the level of doing it the way he wanted to do it. Mike, Larry, Irvin, Isaiah, those guys that, came out and didn't care what you wrote about him in the newspaper, whatever you said about him on SportsCenter, they were still going to go out. They were still going to dominate and try and dominate. And no matter what point they were at their career, you brought it up. His last game, he scored 60 something points. It's almost along the lines of what Jeter did in his last game.
Got the game runner, walk off.
Got the walk off.
Yeah.
And I believe the Lakers won that last game. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, with the years that he played the game, he had a couple of injuries that sidelined him when the team could have gone far. But I think real talk, broad terms, that he is definitely one of the guys that, you have to say, pioneered what the new era of the NBA was after Magic, after Jordan, after Bird.
Right.
He was in that class with Duncan and whatnot, but I think he definitely was one of the catalysts to make to actually carry on with the NBA, what Jordan and the rest of those guys left off. What Iverson brought to the table, what Kobe brought to the table, what Duncan brought to the table, what Vince Carter brought to the table at that time. So yeah, at the end of the day, I can't give him nothing but the flowers that he deserves and everything that he did. Like I said, even off the court.
I'm glad you brought that up. I want to ask you this, John. You appear to want to make a comment. You got a comment. Make your comment, then come back to me because I have a question specific to you about Kobe.
Well, I was just thinking on the same terms when we speak about Kobe Bryant, Derek Jeter. So a lot of people don't realize that in his final season with the who did he play with? The Nationals, Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan played with the Washington Wizards.
Good
city, right
yeah.
city, wrong franchise.
Right. And he averaged like 28 points a game. He was coming off
he was 40. In his first of those 2 years, his knees betrayed him.
Right.
But in the second of those 2 years, he played 82 games.
Yeah, he was warming up.
At 40.
He was warming up.
Michael Jordan.
Yes. He was warming up and averaging 28 points a game. So at 40.
I'm gonna pull them stats while we
that type of determination and grit is what we're talking about. It's what makes great players different, elite players different than great players. These guys are elite because they won't be denied, and they won't let anything deny them. That the attitude is more important than anything. Workhorse guys.
And I think Kobe was one of the guys that probably wish he could play as long as Mike did. Even if he wasn't, he probably wanted to be on the same level physically. But as of course, he played that game as long as he played it out of high school. He wasn't going to last as long as he did.
Here's MJ's Wizard stats since it came up in 2001, which was his first of his 2 years with Washington. Hadn't played since 97 chip with the Bulls. In interest of full disclosure, Damon is a Bulls fan.
He hadn't touched the ball.
And not only is Damon a Bulls fan,
98.
He's a legitimate Bulls fan, not one of those, I'm just a fan because Michael's great. He was a fan of the Bulls as a little boy. So I'll give him his props with regards to that. And still a fan to this day. And that's important when you're hanging out with me because I don't do the bandwagon thing. And I already had to get through giving you heat about rooting for a team halfway across the country.
Yeah.
We've resolved that. Jordan played 60 games in 2001. He averaged 22.9. In 2002, he played all 82 games. He averaged 20, but he played 37 minutes at 40. Michael Jordan with bad knees. You know what I'm saying? So
I know it was a stretch of time.
Well, I got his stats.
But that might not have been the year. But there was a stretch of time where he was averaging like 28.
Oh yeah, in his Bulls years.
No. In his for the Wizards, it was like a stretch of games.
Oh, maybe in a stretch of games.
And I think he got injured or something, and he bowed out. Yeah. Maybe the first year.
It was probably the first year because he played 60 of the 82. But as far as Kobe is concerned, he is on the list of greatest. Most points ever. Actually, let me get back to the question I was going to ask you. Thank you. I lost my train of thought. I got it back. So my question, John, for you is: a lot of people like to cast aspersions on athletes when they look at how they perform on the court, particularly black men in today's world. What would we deal with off the court? And I ain't got to get into that. You listen to the show, you know what the hell I'm talking about. The shit we go through just from being black men and being a threat to everybody who happens to come into our contact, even when we ain't a threat. people never shaded him during his playing days because they knew he was a machine. He was a Black Mamba. But when he retired, it's almost like he turned into a, you know how like your parents is wild and mean and shit, and then when you have kids and they become grandparents, they turn into this nice person trying to get into heaven. Kobe just kind of changed. He became nicer. He became more palatable. He became more acceptable. He smiled more, and his philanthropic works went just off the charts. So that's what I want to get to, and I want your opinion about that. How do you feel about the Kobe that we had from the time he played his last game up to the time we lost him?
Well, on the court, he was Black Mamba, right? The deadliest, right? He was no longer on the court. So we got Kobe Bryant. And that's who Kobe Bryant was as a human being. It doesn't strike me at all. But if he was playing the game, he's going to destroy you. He's going to try to kill you. And that is what made him great, besides his great physical abilities. Because there were other players with the same kind of physical abilities, but they didn't have that level of greatness. So, yeah, when it was over, when he was off the court, yeah, you got to look at his true personality as a human being. Nobody he was giving money to was trying to beat him in the game. Had they been trying to beat him in the game, he'd have tried to kill him. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I like that about him. I'm one of those, I'm one of those people who, I embrace sports hate. You know what I mean? Like, I hate the teams I hate, and I don't hate these people. Like, I don't want that bad to happen to you. But sports hate, I hate your ass. Like, for real. I want, your team to go 0-82 or 0-162 or 1 now used to be 1-16, now 1-17, like 0-17. Like, I want your team to lose every game, including when Kobe was playing. But it's just, it's just different. I ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio, putting a bow on the Kobe conversation. We're going to move on to other stuff. I just feel so much compassion for Vanessa and the girls because, that's daddy. And I can relate to him as a father, especially a girl daddy. If you know me, I'm a girl daddy. I got one, but I would love to have 10 or 50, hyperbole. But yeah, I wanted, would have liked to just my house filled with girls. And Kobe had that. And you can see that was something that he embraced. Like, he liked being girl daddy, especially with, the one that was with him when we lost him. Like, he was being daddy, Gigi. He was being daddy, Damon, that day when they were on the plane. Talk to us a little bit about that. What's your thoughts on Kobe the daddy?
Well, just before I get to that, I mean, just with the question that you asked, John, I think one of the things that you have to also consider was the fact that early on in his career, people looked at Kobe as, I guess, the bad guy Kobe, because everybody looked at him as trying to take down whatever Jordan did, or comparing him to Jordan, saying he was stealing Jordan's moves, or he was like John said, he was the heir apparent, but everybody still looked at Mike as being the GOAT and Kobe as being this guy that was coming in to try and infringe upon, his moves on the court, his persona, this, that, and the other. But as his career went on and the whole talk about comparison, even though it was still there, it kind of faded a little bit between him and Mike and everybody else. You saw after the whole trade with Shaq going to the Heat, you got the whole sense that, now Kobe is his own man, is his own team. He grew up from when he started with the Lakers to where he was now. Now it was his team. So towards the waning years of his career, and he was getting more and more of the accolades because he was becoming more and more of a team player and a team leader. That's when you started to see the change, my own personal opinion, about the change in what, how Kobe was viewed as a basketball player, as an ambassador to the league and whatnot. Now, as far as the question you asked me, I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing that Kobe, was the way he was with his children, with his girls. I mean, there's nothing like being a girl dad. I'm a girl dad. I got a daughter, and I love it to death. At the end of the day, seeing that aspect of him definitely humanized him, because all you heard was Black Mamba, all you saw was Black Mamba. So to see that aspect of his personality, his persona, his natural life outside of the game of basketball, like I said, it humanized him to the point where it gave people more cause to give him more of the flowers that he deserved, outside of the game of basketball.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy and that radio. I think you nailed it as far as him being a dad. I just, he struck me as someone who was present, who did what he needed to do. I mean, obviously, he had the kind of job. Daddy got to go. Daddy got to travel. I got to go to Chicago. I got to go to New York. I got to go to Miami. I got to go to Dallas. I got to go to Denver. He had to go. That just was his existence. Why do people call me when they know I'm on the radio? Like, I'm on the radio. I've been on the radio for 10 years on Mondays. Why are you calling me? Like, seriously, why are you calling me? Have you remembered?
We on the show.
Yeah, man. Come on. But yeah, he's a girl daddy, and I dug that about him. I dug the fact that he was open and very proud to be a dad. You know what I mean? Because if you know me, that's how I move. I'm proud to be a dad. I love my nieces and my godchildren and just all of that kind of stuff. And when you have very powerful men, John, sometimes powerful men and why they're powerful becomes the story, becomes the narrative. But the fact that you have this man who was one of the most famous athletes in the world, upon his retirement, the greatest joy that we all got to see from him was when he was being dad. Talk to me. You're dad. You're dad. We all have daughters. Talk to me about this part of Kobe's legacy.
When you can experience your life, live your life, and you're not working for a living anymore, right? You really get to spend time with your family, do some incredible things. Yeah, he had the best of it in retirement because there was no place he went where he had to go. He only went places where he wanted to go. And he spent whatever time he wanted to spend with his family. So we all three of us sitting here understands how precious that is. And to be able to do it on the level that he did it on with the amount of money that he had, it's incredible. Imagine buying out Universal Studios for the day and take your daughters. It's your wife and your daughters and maybe a couple friends. And y'all got the whole Universal Studio for a day. That's it's Tuesday. Ain't nothing special, just Tuesday. That's life, man. That's life. And Kobe was able to do that. And that happiness and that joy was abundant in him that people could see it. And that's part of what you were saying before also about as far as people being more accepting of him because he was happy. He was truly happy. And it's nothing like that. Nothing like it in the world.
I think he settled into that happiness over the years. I think he settled into that because I think he had to deal with that whole Shaq and Kobe mess and the future of the Lakers and what he was going to do, whether or not they were going to win a championship. So after a while, he settled into that feeling of being who he was as the Black Mamba, still with that killer instinct at the end of the day. But the beautiful part about it was you got to see that softer side, just seeing him around his wife and his kids at the games and stuff, even after he scored the 81 points and even after he had to score 61 points and still made the all-star team and ended up being an all-star MVP. I mean, tremendous.
I'm going to ask an uncomfortable question. If you know me, you know I'm a fan of Gayle King. I've been a fan of Gayle King for a long time. Love Gayle King. I've talked about it here on the show. In the ashes of us losing Kobe, Gayle King asked Lisa Leslie her thoughts on what happened in Denver. And Gayle King got dragged for it. And we're talking about Kobe now. And I am one who's of the opinion where if it's a part of your bio, it's a part of your bio and it's fair game. I understand the logic behind that happened a long time ago. Don't bring it up. The man is gone. I understand that as well. But the whole thing about Gayle King that we talked about came up in the context of Kobe Bryant. And we've never talked about this in that context. And so I'd like to just briefly go around the room with you guys And, you know, again, in the interest of full disclosure, I am a fan of Gayle King. I am a fan of Lisa Leslie, and I am a fan of Kobe Bryant. I love all of these people. But having said that, is there this thing of too soon? So, John, I'll come to you first. I mean, in the context of we're talking about Kobe, not in the context that we're talking about Gayle, but in the context that we're talking about Kobe, what's your thoughts of that whole thing and how Gayle got dragged and how Lisa kind of kept herself out of it? You have an opinion about that in this context?
In the context of it being Kobe, it leans back on Gayle because she's a brilliant woman and an all superstar journalist, right? So with those two things being said, even if she was prompted to ask that question by the network, she has enough pull not to have to ask it, right? Lisa Leslie and Kobe Bryant were kind of attached at the hip on Laker franchise. You know, they were Laker Nation, and you don't ask that woman that question that soon after the man dies with his daughter. Right? That happened a long time ago, like you said. And yeah, it's part of his resume, so it is open. It's an open question. But you gotta know. You gotta know. You gotta want to be dragged, right? To ask that question. Because I'd have knew, and I'm nowhere near the journalist that she is, nor do I have the education that she has. But I would have knew if I asked Lisa Leslie that question, I'm getting dragged. So in my opinion, she wanted to be dragged. And that's why she asked the question. Because, ain't nothing like controversy to sell. Right? And so she sold on that. And she got to live and die with it.
Yeah.
What
do you think, Damon?
I think that, that was an instance where somebody higher up made her put that bug in her ear about asking that question. Because even like John said, she's a world-renowned journalist. This wasn't her first interview, and she's been around enough tragedy, heartache, and things of that nature to know, what's right and what's wrong. Me personally, I think that question was dead wrong to ask at that time to that person of all people, because like John said, Laker Nation, that's like asking, at that point, Shaq or somebody else, Derek Fisher. How did it make you feel to find out when Kobe did this heinous act, or he was accused of this heinous act? How did it make you feel? And I mean, I've never been a really big fan of Gayle King like that, and doing her job is one thing, but I don't really think she needed to ask that question. And I don't really think that was I think that the event itself, the thing that happened with Kobe and this woman out in Colorado was something that was a blemish on his record, but it wasn't something that's ever going to stain it, to the point where he's going to be like, it's going to always come up when you talk about Kobe Bean.
I think that has begun to wane. It was beginning to wane, even when he was living.
Yeah, even when he was living, like towards the tail end. After I think maybe 5 or 6 years after it all happened and everything started to die down.
He had a face turn.
Right.
To again use wrestling terms. Y'all know I'm a big wrestling fan. I'm gonna share with you wrestling terms. I speak in the lingo. They turned him from a bad guy to a good guy. Well, they didn't. He didn't.
He did.
He changed his perception because he, in the ashes of what happened in Denver, he focused on basketball exclusively. You no longer heard of him in any realm of thought other than basketball, and he won chips. Winning is a great deodorizer. If you win, you are less likely to have to deal with some of the things that great players deal with that don't win. If Allen Iverson had been winning chips in Philadelphia, they wouldn't have cared as much. They would have cared. They wouldn't have cared as much about the tattoos and the cornrows if he was winning chips. So it's what it is. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio.
Yeah, just one more thing on that issue.
Sure.
It just came to me when Damian was speaking. Gayle King had to know that his wife and daughters were home listening to this. That woman didn't deserve that. And she didn't ever deserve to have to explain to these children who lost their father what this woman was talking about.
Here's where I'm disagreeing with y'all. I haven't said much on it, and I'll say this. And if you guys want to debate me, so be it. We're at the end of our Kobe chat. So once we go through this, if you guys choose to, then we'll move on to something else. But I never had a problem with what Gayle King asked her. It's not because I'm a Gayle King fan, which I am, full disclosure. But I didn't have a problem with the question because it's a relevant part of his bio. Now, who he asked, asking Lisa Leslie in that context, I thought that was poor taste. But when you have people who know the deceased, you ask sometimes awkward questions because there's a level of salaciousness that you want to get to, even in a person's passing. Whether it's the right thing to do or not is something that we can debate. But as a journalist, I understand because, you want to know what people think about all aspects of a person, whether it's good or bad. I would have loved for her to not have asked that question. It would have been my preference for her to not have asked that question. But I was watching the same interview that everybody else was watching live when it happened. And when she asked the question, I didn't even trip. I didn't blink. I didn't think nothing of it. I saw Lisa's reaction. She didn't really want to get into it. And that was the end of it. And I didn't think of it again until I saw my social media, how everybody was dragging her. And I was like, damn, what the hell did she say? And I had to really pay attention to see that Jokers was just mad because she asked the question. And so I respect it. It's one of them situations I realized that I'm on the wrong side of it socially, but professionally, as a trained journalist, I get the question, got no problem with the question. And you know how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy, Internet Radio. All right, so we're going to transition. We're going to move on to some other stuff. Damon, probably about, I don't know, what time is it now? It's 45 minutes past the hour. A couple of hours ago, you and I were in a cipher where we was looking at some videos on our phone, and it was all of these people stacking and climbing crates. Milk crates. Stacking and climbing milk crates. And as we watch these people stack and climb these crates, many of them are falling down and hurting themselves, and some of them
are busting their ass.
But some of them are being knocked over. Like, some folks think it's funny to knock over a joker who's already gonna fall. He or she gonna already fall.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it. That's the fun part about it. Here's the common sense 47-year-old part about it. Why are we doing this? Why are we on crates? Why are we climbing crates? Why are we climbing crates and trying to see if we will fall when most likely we will fall? Like, why are we doing this? Like, I don't understand why we're doing this. Because we don't have nothing else to do.
Nothing else to do.
Are we tired? Are we bored? Is it the fact that it is during a pandemic where we just have to try to find something new? I remember we was pouring ice cold water on ourselves, and I remember all of these other things that we was doing. Now all of a sudden, this is what we're doing. All right, before we go on, change the speeds real quick, because we get folks who say peace to us. So when the folks say peace to us, we give them priority. June is checking in. He's saying he changed his narrative. Kudos. He was referring back to Kobe. But we're getting our good morning greetings, so we know what that means. At this time of the show, we always make sure we pay homage to our sister and friend and one of the most important listeners to our show, our sister Sue, is saying good morning to us. So we respond back to her in unison.
Good morning, Sue.
Yeah. Yeah, how Steppin Marcus say. All right, so this crate thing, Damon, we were watching it and we laughed because the shit is funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
But why are we doing this,
we
man?
have nothing. I don't know. We have nothing else to do. It's a challenge. Whenever we come up with a challenge for each other, I mean, why don't we do a get your credit right challenge? Let's do that. Let's have a let's have a get your credit right challenge. You know, I mean, it's pop culture. It's a pop culture thing. I mean, whenever something silly like this comes up, it's usually trending pop culture. Twitter's going crazy on it. Instagram's going crazy on it. Facebook's going crazy on it. You know, I never knew there was so many damn milk crates in the hood in the first place.
And now you're seeing they're having pictures of the stores. We're not saying their names, they ain't paying us, but the stores that we know, that the stores that a lot of us go to,
running
and
out of
they're
milk
pointing,
crates.
they've taken pictures of large sections, letting you know they got inventory.
Yeah.
Come get your crates.
You got your crates for you to act like a fool and fall on your neck. And half of y'all ain't got no insurance.
The one that I did see, Damon, John, the one person, because all of the videos that I've seen, John, ain't nobody making it. They all falling. But I saw one video where someone made it, and it was this sexy ass, fine ass sister in a pair of heels. I think
she prayed before.
I don't know if the chick I saw make it have on heels. She had on some sneakers.
Okay, so
she was at the top, and they was like, "You're gonna fall, you're gonna fall." She just ran.
Nah, that's not the one we
when
saw.
She hit the bottom, she kind of buckled, but she made it. She was like, "Yeah, I made it." She's one of them real cook you dinner looking sisters.
This sister that we saw. She had, she was an attractive woman. She was shaped like how you like, with the Coke bottle and all that.
That wasn't them church heels. That was like
she had on club pole heels.
Yeah,
6 inch. Yeah, and them crates got the little holes in it. So how
he had to been on the balls of feet doing that, and
how
really talented.
Yeah.
We're not gonna speak about that. We're just gonna let that be what it
is. Sue said, "All I know is I could use them crates for my garden."
Well, let me say this: the question is why, right?
That question is why.
Why? Because unfortunately, black folk in this country, that's what it come to. That's what it has come to for us, and not being able to actualize our dreams, right? And we always talk about how much we getting it and how good it is and the way we doing things now, but people don't understand what you're seeing is social media. You're not seeing the whole world. It's 50 million black people in this country, right? 50 million. And you see 50 that's making it, and you think we doing good? We're not doing good, because if we was doing good, we wouldn't be climbing. Nobody with something to lose is climbing crates. I'm not climbing no crate.
I'm not climbing no crate.
And even if I was young,
I'm not sitting on a crate.
Even if I was young and vigor in my day, I'm not climbing no crate.
Only thing them crates good enough for me. Only thing them crates could do for me, John,
hold records,
is hold records, hold milk, and shoot baskets.
Yeah, scrape out the bottom.
Put the junk in the back seat of your trunk.
Yeah,
trunk,
remember we
organize your trunk.
Yeah, put some shit in there.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah. Greg, you and Greg are channeling each other, because Greg just said, peace to you, Greg, by the way. Thank you for rocking with us. Where are my crates? Can't carry my records.
Yeah, that's my brother. That's my brother, Greg.
Yeah, that's what it is.
What up, G Cool?
Yeah, man, that's what it is. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from New Day Legacy and their radio. I see these things and we go viral, and I don't want to be the fun police. Nobody wants that.
That shit ain't fun.
But it's
stupid.
It's clearly fun for some folks, because folks are garnering crowds and stuff. But I guess the angle that I want to get to is why
they're replacing.
Is it fun?
Pain. It's fun because they're replacing emotional, mental pain with physical pain. They're trying to get over the fact that their lives are not where they needed to be. So they're going to do something then where they might get hurt and forget about where they're at mentally and emotionally, right? It's a psychological thing.
Well, somebody also mentioned online that I read actually on Twitter about, why they're doing these ridiculous milk crate challenges. And somebody in one of the comment feeds said, well, look where we were a year ago and what we were doing a year ago. Now, I'm not saying that's cause to go ahead and stack a bunch of milk crates and potentially break your neck and break your arm. But, last year, what were we doing this time last year? We were still all shut in. We were still in the houses. We were still scared about what was going on. And again, I'm not putting any merit to that. But at the end of the day, Yeah, there's some black folk out there just acting a fool just because they get to go outside and act a fool.
But
that's really all I can say about it. It's just
I'm like this with that and with pranks. God forbid you think you're gonna prank me.
Oh, that's a problem.
Because I'm gonna hurt somebody. I'm gonna hurt a couple of somebody's on a prank. Because you ain't gonna be able to tell me it's a prank fast enough. Because my reaction time is something that ain't slowed down over the years. You're not gonna prank me. Right?
Just like the ones we saw that was on there, the guy's doing it, and then you gotta get halfway up, and then somebody walk up and just kick the middle of the crate and make him fall. I mean, we saw that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, we're not doing
doesn't make
that.
any sense.
We're not doing that. We're not doing any of that. And I'm just saying, like, come on, people. We better than that. We better than climbing milk crates. I don't care what you say.
And just like you said before, when we were doing the whole bucket challenge, that ended up being something that, ended up people donating money to certain causes and certain charities after a period of time. This is just senseless.
Yeah, but why do you need to do that? Just donate the money.
I did the bucket challenge. The donation was caught up. It was part of it. I got caught up in the hysteria.
I did too.
So I did the bucket challenge. In hindsight, I realized how silly it was for me to do it, but it was fun. It was fun because that's the kind of stuff that we would do anyway on a hot day. Just throw some water on you.
I mean,
this is a whole different thing.
You do that in lines. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Why not just donate the money? That's the same thing. You say with people doing walkathons, why you got to do walkathon? Just donate the money. But that's something that brings people together. Like the bucket challenge is something that brings this crate shit is bringing people together, but for all the wrong reasons.
I don't know what's the end game. If the end game is let's have some fun, we know people gonna fall and hurt themselves. Let's trip off it and laugh. If that's the end game, then then that's it. You won't
successful.
Hear nothing, you're not gonna hear nothing else out of me. Cool. That's where you move. That's how you move, because I will tell you, I am laughing my entire ass off at these videos when I'm seeing them, because a lot of them are funny. We all laugh when somebody. That's another thing, John. Why do we laugh when somebody falls? Like, it's something that we clearly have learned as young people culturally. When somebody falls and hurts themselves, we culturally think it's funny and we laugh. I don't know why. I'm a part of it, because if you bust your ass, I'm gonna laugh at you. But why is the instinct to laugh when someone falls?
Well, I think that's something that you used to see when you was a kid.
I get that. As but why is that? But yes, conceding where you're going.
Yeah.
My question is, why is it funny? I don't know why it's funny. I'm gonna laugh. I promise you. We walk out this room, and one of y'all go down these stairs the wrong way. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put it out there.
If I bust my ass
I'm gonna put it out there.
I'm gonna whoop your ass.
You ain't doing shit because you're gonna be at the bottom of the stairs getting laughed at by me.
But I'm gonna be mad at you for putting that in the universe.
You think I would be moved by you being mad?
No, I'm not saying you'd be moved, but
I don't care.
Look. I'm gonna tell you what
you
it
talk
is.
About.
We've been trained.
Yeah,
we've been trained and programmed into that.
Yes,
all the imagery that we
which
went
is the
through
question I'm asking.
That's why we've been trained to overlook certain things.
Cultural conditioning.
We've been desensitized to things. This is why people get murdered every day, and we go, okay, man, 2 people murdered. Like, the idea of loss of life doesn't feel the same to us anymore. We've been desensitized, and it started out with the cartoons and the people getting their face shot off in the black smoke. Right? That's what started it. That desensitized us to gun violence. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it did. And then we had the genre, of movies with action heroes and guns and people getting shot, got desensitized. So now it's just part of our reality as Americans.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why the people falling off the crate, possibly dying. It's a possibility you could die falling off that crate. You could snap your neck.
I saw a video, John, or a post for HBCU page that I'm on social media, and HBCU post said something along the lines of, if you go to an HBCU, do not do this crate challenge on campus and expect to be treated like you legitimately hurt yourself. Like, here you are asking for trouble. So, don't think that you coming into the school nurse or the infirmary on campus, thinking that you're going to get priority when your ass fell off a crate, And I don't know. I don't want to be the fun police, but this one just seems extra dumb. I don't get this one. I just don't. Ain't no Steppin Marcus J, live from New Den. Legacy internet radio. We just moving along tonight, and I'm glad because when we have a special guest like Damon in the room, who I get to pick on for being here, it's a good day. So I'm glad to see you. You know what? You know what's tripping me out right now? We're still in this weird COVID space where we're looking at today. Pfizer has just gotten the full, the full go ahead, FDA go ahead for folks to get it, and I still kind of trip off of the folks who don't want to get it. I've never publicly talked about whether I have or not. I'm not going to. I'm one of those people who, HIPAA, mind your business, but I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not someone that's going to be talking negative about getting it or not getting it. And I think that is a problem. You can voice your opinions about how you feel about it, but I think when your opinion is based in conspiracy theory, when no matter how much you talk, you can't specifically put your hands on a fact. You can just put your hands on a feeling, which I think a lot of folks are doing. Look at the history of this country. This country ain't never done right. You don't trust the government to give you a vaccine, but your ass gonna be in the hospital the minute you get sick. You don't trust the vaccine, but as soon as you get sick, you'll take whatever medicine they willing to give you to make you so you're not sick. It just sounds so stupid to me that contradiction of vaccine versus no vaccine. Like if you ain't going to get it, just don't get it and just shut the fuck up. But don't be negative in sense of not being able to tell folks why you're not going to get it, because most of the people who are on the I'm not going to get it is they're going to try to track you. And I was in a post this weekend that suggested that now we're getting ready to have some sort of segregation now. You're going to segregate the vaccinated from the non-vaccinated. It's like, come on, man. Like for real, the military got to get like something like 15 or 20 vaccines just to be in the military. I remember being a kid and getting stuck with all kinds of shit. And when my daughter was of vaccination age and going to school, she got stuck with all kinds of shit. I was in New Jersey this past week. I was with one of my nieces, and that day she got stuck with some shit. She had the band-aids and everything. I'm like, come on. So now all of a sudden, COVID is the mountain that we all going to die on. We're going to die on this mountain. This is going to be the vaccine that's got the chip in us. We can't go nowhere now. They know where we at. This is the vaccine that 6 years from now, all of a sudden, we're going to grow horns and tails. This is the vaccine now, all of a sudden, and we all going to be sick because of, when we've always had vaccines. So get it or don't get it. I honestly, I didn't even realize where I'm going with it. Just shut the fuck up on the conspiracy stuff. You sound stupid, and you making people who really would want to get it be scared. And you're not saying nothing. You just saying, I think they might be chipping us. I think they might be having some sort of conspiracy theory where they're going to separate the vaccine. You can't make me get a vaccine. Oh, you can't. Right. But you can get a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt. Like, come on, man. Really? Like, you're not saying nothing. And whoever the you are of this you that I'm speaking, if the you of the you that I'm speaking to is listening and you want to debate me, I ain't hard to find. 804-402-2893 is the live number, or hit us in the social media. I feel strongly about this, and I'm getting frustrated about this vaccination talk. Get it or don't get it. That's my hard line. That part I don't really care about. But I was raised in a household when we was taught, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, then shut the fuck up, like for real. So that's where I'm at with it. That's my third fuck. Fourth, if you count me describing, that was my third. So, hey, you're missing a couple of checks, Mark. Let me put 4.
Yes, 4.
That's 4.
4.
Yeah. Come on, man. Damon, John, talk to me and tell me that I'm tripping about this. Because my thing is, I don't care if you get it. I don't care if you don't get it. But if you're one of those people who's on the fence with it and you ain't got nothing fact-based to say, then don't say nothing, man.
Well, people are always going to say something, whether or not they have something positive or negative to say about it. Everybody feels as though their constitutional right is to say whatever they want to say about it, just like you just spoke about how you felt about those people. At the end of the day, I agree with you. A lot of times, you have these people out here that have a platform, and even some of those are people that don't have a platform that hide behind the keyboard that go ahead and spit out these useless facts, these useless facts, meaningless facts about something that's more opinion than fact. I'm not gonna lie, I went and got the vaccine after I went ahead and did my research and found out which vaccine was the better option. Talked to some people, had conversations with you, some other people, a friend of mine, Phil. Shout out to Sweetness. I had a conversation with her about some other stuff. And it's just people that were actually concerned about what this was going to be long term, because at the end of the day, this is your life, and like you said, we've all been vaccinated when we had to go to school, when we had to play certain sports, when we had to either go certain places in the world to be vaccinated. And because my mother went to Africa, she traveled to Africa and she had to get vaccinated for so many things. It was ridiculous. But at the end of the day, it wasn't the thing where, okay, well, I'm going to another continent. Why do I have to get this? It was something that needed to be done in order for you to be safe where you were going. For us in the United States and the world, I mean, a lot of people looking at this as, okay, this is not something that we need to be safe because some people are getting over it. Some people are either getting infected and they're living, or getting infected and they're getting mildly sick, or not even showing any signs of what's going on with this virus. So at the end of the day, I'm sick and tired of hearing it myself. I'm sick and tired of hearing the people on the right saying that we don't need to be bothered with it, telling their constituents we don't need to be bothered with it, but yet and still a lot of them have already gotten vaccinated. The despicable part about it is you have a governor in Florida who's telling you know what, we don't need mask mandates in schools. Kids don't need to have masks in schools. Teachers don't need to have masks in schools, but the school that his kids go to are requiring masks. It's convenient for them because they want to live and all this other stuff. I'm guaranteed you, if you poll a lot of those senators, a lot of Republican senators, even maybe some Democratic senators, whether or not they got the vaccine, they'll probably plead the fifth. No, don't want to say anything because they don't want to influence their constituents one way or the other. I saw a clip. Matter of fact, before we even came here, on Smart News, an app on my phone, where Trump was making a speech about the vaccine and whatnot, and he mentioned the fact that he got the vaccine. He started to get booed because he mentioned the fact that he got the vaccine. And the messed up part about it was after he said that, he's like, oh, all right. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it works. Because if it doesn't work, you'll hear it here first. So therein lies the problem. He went ahead and got the vaccine, but yet and still, he's going to go ahead and still keep spouting the BS about how inconclusive or how bad the vaccine might potentially be, because he realizes that there's so many people out there that are anti-vaxxers that don't believe in the government telling them what to do and what they need to do with their children, with their bodies, with their families, and this, that, and the other. I mean, I myself don't necessarily agree with it. I know a lot of people, even me and you, Mark, we had a conversation about the vaccine before you went ahead and got it. We had an in-depth conversation about it, and I told you the reasons why I got it. You told me the reasons why you were skeptical and whatnot, and we went on from there. But I think a lot of the stuff that you just mentioned and the stuff that we've been talking about and we've been hearing is tantamount to crying wolf. It's BS at the end of the day.
You just blew your brother up, you know that, right?
What?
Move on.
Okay, so I feel like this. The majority of the bad talk is fueled by the bad messaging from the people who are pro-vaccine. They're not, since this COVID come out, there's been bad messaging all the way across the board. And because of that bad messaging, they gave fuel to these nut jobs to talk about things. And then when they don't answer questions, reasonable questions, I'm not talking about unreasonable, I'm not talking about who's getting paid for the chip. I'm not talking about that. But telling us how many people died because they got the vaccine and what was their pre-existing condition that caused their death? That's a simple question. Answer that question. Don't brush by it like it didn't happen, because those people's lives matter, right? But when you don't answer the question, you give people on that fringe lunatic stuff ammunition to just blow the spot up about how many people died and all this stuff, and it ain't no good, and they killing people. And then they start bringing out statistics from other vaccines that only killed a few people, and they pulled it off the market. So all of this stuff, I really can't wrap my head around it. I kind of gave up on it a couple weeks ago with trying to understand it. Something is just too confusing for me at this time to try to deal with what is going on with COVID-19, the vaccine, and everything associated with it. I just gave up on it because I can't get a straight answer from anyone. And I mean, think about it like this. Far more people die from hunger every day than ever from COVID. And hunger is preventable. It's much more preventable than COVID, and it will cost a lot less. So it can't be that we are worried about human life. A lot of people wouldn't be dying, right? People die in the hospital every day from cancer because they can't afford the treatment. Right? I saw a movie called Sweet Girl. I think it was on Netflix. Yeah, so I saw this movie, and it's all about this woman who died because one pharmaceutical company paid another pharmaceutical company to take the inexpensive generic brand of the medicine off the market so as not to mess with their profit. Right? And that's a reality. It happens every day. You have people with medicine that costs $3,000 a month and more. Right? I got a friend, a brother. He had a stroke, and the medicine, he can't afford his medicine. Right? Talking thousands of dollars a month in medicine. Right? So I mean, it's just horrific, right? And the part that Big Pharma plays in the body politic, along with all those other strong lobbies, the gun lobby, the war lobby, and all this other stuff. So you can't tell me that these people, Dr. Fauci, Biden included, are worrying about human life. Because there's so many more human lives that can be saved than the ones that can be saved with this COVID, that they're not paying any attention to that. They're not putting any money behind it. They're not doing anything for it. It's all right to them to get the letters, my mother died because she couldn't get cancer treatment, or she couldn't get her insulin, or she had Parkinson's and she couldn't get the medication for Parkinson's to extend her life period, to give me one more day with her. How do you put a value on that? How do you put a dollar mark on one more day with someone you love? You can't. And the fact that in this country, as much money as we have in this country, that people are dying every day because they don't have enough money is the most despicable, sick thing I can think of. And people want to, big us up and think about how great we are and what we're doing. Nah, man. Nah, because we're not telling the truth. And until we start telling the truth, we're going to continue to have these problems. We're going to have nut jobs talking about chips and vaccines. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about all other type of conspiracy theory about Democrats eating babies under a pizza parlor and all this other kind of madness, right?
I remember that one.
Because they won't
remember that
because they won't tell the truth, right? They won't tell a simple truth. Was Bill Clinton on the island with the pedophile? Yes, he was. Was he probably getting it in? Sure, he was. Tell the truth. That don't mean he was eating babies for their blood in a pizza parlor. You know what I'm saying? Has Hillary Clinton probably ordered assassinations? Most definitely. But that don't mean that she was in the pizza parlor eating babies.
See, here's where I'm going to stop you. How do you know either of those two last statements?
Well, the one I know, because there's photographic proof that Bill Clinton was on the island.
But do you know that Hillary Clinton has ordered assassinations?
Here's what I know. I know in her line of work and who she is and what she has done, and people who have contradicted her at any time, wound up dead in an airplane crash with 6 gunshots to their chest.
Okay. Well, I don't know who those people are. So
Ron Brown.
Yeah, I mean, he died in a plane crash, but he also
with
knew
6 bullet shots in his chest.
Well, a lot of people on that plane. I don't know about that autopsy, so I can't speak to that. But I always just find it strange. I'm not a Clinton fan. I got heat with both of them, but people really hate them.
Oh, don't get it twisted. I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah,
politics is not a sweet sport.
Yeah,
politics is not for the faint at heart. I mean, Barack Obama killed tens of thousands of innocent Somalians with drone strikes based on American policy.
Yeah,
I definitely ain't got no problem with him.
Yeah,
politics is real.
Yeah,
and death is an everyday part of it. And until we really stand up and own our ish, right, we're always gonna have this problem of some nut job from the other side taking all the questions that they are unwilling to answer and building on them on these conspiracies, and you're gonna get people now taking worm medicine for horses and cows. And drinking bleach to fight corona.
Yeah. Well, it's about going back to your original comment. It's about the messaging. It's about how the messages are displayed and how is disseminated and who's giving it. I think one of the most devastating parts of the pandemic that we're in is the president that we had when this thing started. I don't want to make this about Donald Trump. We've said enough about him and the albatross and the horrible, horrible president that he was. But I think the worst that he ever did was just happen to be the president on the dawn of a pandemic when he made a point of making folks not fear it, not fear a virus that we know is killing people. I don't know anybody who has been untouched by the virus. I know people personally who are not here anymore. I know people personally. I haven't lost anybody in my immediate circle, and that's a blessing. But I know plenty of people who have, lost people who are close to them. And, it's like we can say what we want about this pandemic. We can say what we want about the vaccines, and we can say what we want about all this other stuff that we're talking about. But at the end of the day, people are dying. And I know that, you've mentioned in the past that people who have died of other things and has been tagged with coronavirus. I respect that that's your experience and that's what you know. But that ain't everybody. And most of the people who are sick with something that 2 years ago they wouldn't be sick with. You know what I mean? And this thing is really causing a change, a shift in how we move in this country. And I think that it would be wise for us to be honest about it. And I don't know that the people who are in a position to sway public opinion and public fear are being honest with us. That's where my trouble is. And that's where I think your trouble is. It's about being honest. It's like, come on, man. If you get the shot, you might get it, you might not, but you're less likely to die.
That's it. Full stop.
Full stop.
And guess what? You would have more people lining up.
But that had to be the initial guidance on it. And
that's why they tagged it as a vaccine. They tagged it as a vaccine to claim it will prevent you from getting it and transmitting it. They were going to stop the spread of it with the vaccine. And then when people challenged them based on the science, when doctors challenged them based on the science, it says, no, it's not what this vaccine does.
But here's the thing.
They kind of backpedaled a little bit, but the full enormity of the situation never got its full presence.
But here's the thing, and I know my brother Damon is more of a science man. I'm arts and I'm arts and history. He's more math and science. And so I'm gonna ask you your opinion about all of this and as we're in this conversation. But my understanding has always been viruses are the hardest type of illness to attack. And so while you have that's why we never was able to cure AIDS, because it's a virus. HIV is a virus. Corona is a virus. And so once you get a virus, it can mutate and the science begins to change. And I think where we may not have been educated enough to be able to analyze what we have been told is knowing that piece. Like a virus is going to mutate over time and it's going to be different. It's going to change. The influenza is a virus, which is the reason why every season you get a different flu shot. Not, well, I'm not talking about you, but just in general, there's a different flu shot every season because every season the influenza virus mutates and changes. And so somehow we can know that intellectually, but we can't intellectually understand and receive that the coronavirus would also begin to do its mutation and change, which in fact would change the science, which in fact would change the guidance and how we're supposed to move with it. That's the part to me that's frustrating. And I think the part for you that's frustrating, we're frustrated about different parts of that. The part of that I'm frustrated with is like, come on, man. We know this. We learned this in 9th grade science class. In biology, we learned that shit changes, right? Your spot is, why don't they just tell the truth? So this is where you and I meet on this. We disagree on some stuff, but where you and I meet here is this shouldn't be hard. And where it was made to be hard is we had a president who was so arrogant and so misinformed and such a fucking liar that he misled enough of the country where, because you're going to have some people that's going to be anti-vaxxers. Let's just keep it funky.
They were anti-vaxxers for years.
You're going to have people that's going to be anti-vaxxers.
Autism
and all of that kind of stuff. And I respect how you feel about that. But when the leader of your country is adding to the discourse, gets it himself, and still doesn't endorse the fix, that tells me there's a greater agenda that's bigger than just that dude. And that's where I get funky. I'm like, why is the messaging so flawed?
But he's not here now.
He's not here.
We got Biden.
He's not here.
And,
well,
and
hold on.
Fauci, they could tell the truth.
Yeah, but you know what? That cat's out of the bag. If a lady accuses you of rape, we were talking about this before we got on the air. If a lady accuses you of raping her, and it's proven that you did not do it, and she's punished,
allegations,
it's still going to be people looking at you like you did something, even though we've shown that she lied. So Donald Trump and his minions and the people who rock with that MAGA madness have already set the precedent in our country to receive and accept misinformation and be skeptical of science. And to me, a year and a half into a pandemic that I predicted that would take 2 years, we are now in it indefinitely. Damon, I want you to jump in here. I want you to talk to us a little bit about the misinformation and how you feel about it, because you've seen it just like John and I have seen it. John and I have had these conversations every week, whether we're on these mics or not. This has been a recurring conversation. I understand his position. He understands mine. With more information, our positions have tweaked a little bit, but for the most part, we are standing on our individual mountains. I want to know what mountain you on. What you got, bro?
I'm on the mountain of understanding, what this is, from my own perspective, what this is really all about. With the whole instance of when Trump was president and this all came out, it was all about deny. It was him standing on the ideal that he was the best president that was ever elected. He was running the best administration that the country has ever seen, and nothing was going to happen in his administration that he didn't have full control over, and was not going to be a detriment at the end of the day, which is all bullshit. Because once this came out, they downplayed it from the get-go. There's only one person in Seattle, and he's not infected. He's not contagious. And then 10 people showed up, and then 50, and then 100, and then they still downplayed it. So, once, like you said, once this whole cat was out of the bag, once you start that snowball rolling, downhill, it's really hard to stop. Yeah, he's not here anymore, but look what all of the damage he's already inflicted by setting off, all of these robots. It's like I don't know if you remember back in the day with the X-Men, Magneto used to send off all those sentinels all over the place because he couldn't get to the one centralized part that he wanted to. So he sent all them sentinels out. That's what Donald Trump did. He sent a busload of sentinels out there to tout the bullshit that he was spitting, even though he knew what the likelihood of what this pandemic was going to do. It was all about perception and him not looking like he wasn't in control of what was going on. So at the end of the day, I think what has happened with this pandemic is, like you both have said, and I agree with you, that the misinformation we've gotten from both sides of this aisle has been despicable, because you don't know what to believe. You don't know what to hold, what to hang your hat on, and how it affects you and the people that are close to you, your family, your friends, even the people that you work with. I've had conversations about this with people that I work with, and the magnitude of how it affects them and how we do our jobs on a regular basis. It's something that if you don't take into consideration what it is that you're hearing from those individuals that are spitting facts, then you're going to end up being sucked down a rabbit hole of bullshit. And the unfortunate part about it is you have to pick and choose. Even with the regular news, you have to pick and choose what it is that you listen to on that pro side of the vaccine, because you're not even sure if you're going to get the entire story from them, the complete story about what this vaccine is and what it is and it is not going to do. Someone told me that they felt like when they got the vaccine, they were told that, oh, once I get the vaccine shot, I'm not going to get COVID at all. I'm not going to get COVID, and the likelihood of me spreading this vaccine to anybody else is null and void. I said, then you didn't hear what it was that they talked about with this vaccine, because that's not what this vaccine is going to do for you. You can still catch COVID-19 with this vaccine. You can still end up with symptoms from COVID-19 if you get vaccinated. The thing about it is your likelihood of you being severely ill and severely sick and end up having to be hospitalized is severely minimized. And that's one of the things that, even early on, people were telling you that and people didn't believe it, or they were saying, oh, there's more to it, there's less to it, you're making that up. At the end of the day, it's the United States government. You don't know what they're going to tell you regardless anyway. Hell, we still trying to figure out what's in some of the food that they serving us. So, we're not going to get the right story, the full disclosure that's what is in a vaccine that they developed in what? Less than a year?
Well, that's another problem. They've been developing this vaccine for like the past 10 years. COVID-19 is basically SARS-2. All right, so they've been working on this vaccine forever. They just was able to make adjustments.
And that's one of the things they say we're working with with the task force that Obama created, the pandemic task force that he created, because they heard about it when the whole Ebola thing was out.
Right.
So I'm sorry.
No, so a lot of what you said is like so important, because look at Trump, right? All Trump did was recklessly reiterate information that he received, right? Because they told him about the virus. Yeah, it had what makes it worse than the flu is what they told him was it's a lot more contagious. You're going to have an 85% infection rate, right? So it's not the flu. Because flu, you only got like a 30%, right? 85% of people who come in contact will be affected. The part about it that they told him also that he was reckless about, that of the 80% of people who get infected, only about 20% are going to get sick. And of the 20% who are going to get sick, only about 2% are going to die. And of those 2% that die, 90% of them are going to have pre-existing conditions, right? So this is who we needed to focus our information on. Him having that information, he was reckless with how he dispensed it, telling people that it wasn't going to be that bad, right? But not understanding what 2% of 20% of 80% is in a country of 300-something million people. It's a lot of people. And here goes the other problem. The media talking about all the people that COVID killed. There has been no documentation for people who have died and were diagnosed with COVID post-mortem versus who the disease actually killed, who having the disease made them sick and caused them to die. There is no numbers for anyone to refer to. And that type of information, that lack of that type of information breeds people to distrust you. Because why wouldn't you have that? That's important information to have if you're trying to cure something. But they're just going to say everybody who dies and tests positive for COVID-19 will be considered a COVID death. That's all they said. If you was in the hospital with 2 weeks to live and you died and we saw that you had COVID, you're a COVID death, right? And because of that, the true numbers, we don't know. We need to know the true numbers. Guess what? One death is one death too many, right? But if you guys ain't going to do the basics, how do you expect to have trust among your people? You're not.
I think it's kind of difficult also to actually, and I'm not saying I disagree with anything that you just said. I think it's also difficult to actually determine, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician of any sort, but I wonder how difficult it is to determine those individuals that who actually contract COVID and end up passing away. Are they able to determine what it was that they passed away from? I mean, because
if you was in a car crash and you fell out the car and got ran over by a truck,
well, the car crash,
they took you to the hospital, they tested you for COVID, and now you're a COVID death, and your family can't do a funeral for you.
I don't really think that they're doing that.
They're doing that.
If you die from a car crash, and you got COVID.
That. I know 2 people got shot in Brooklyn, died on the street, went to the hospital, was ruled a COVID death, and their family could not have funerals for them. They're doing that. And they said they were going to do it. It's not like they running away from it.
Well, no, the point that I was trying to make with that was whether or not they have the ability to actually go in and not the car crash people. I'm just talking about the people that end up contracting COVID and whether or not they have a pre-existing condition and they end up passing away with COVID, with being infected with COVID. Do they have the ability to actually go ahead and determine, okay, this person died of diabetes with relation to COVID, or they died with whatever pre-existing condition in relation to COVID attached along with that, to determine, to actually put that information out there? Because with everything that's going on, you've already heard about how little there is as far as medical personnel to actually attend to all of those people. When this was a crazy, when this was actually infecting so many people last year, it wasn't the they didn't really, I think they went ahead and labeled them all COVID deaths because I don't think they had the opportunity to sit down and look at somebody that passed away who had COVID to determine whether or not, okay, he died of COVID or he died of advancements of his diabetes that COVID affected.
But that was the purpose of the postmortem test. They wanted to rile the numbers up. People who have died from obviously other things, they just tested them after they died and was like, oh, check this out. He's COVID positive, COVID death. Otherwise, they wouldn't need a postmortem test.
And you know, I have Steph Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in that radio. I know you have said that, and that's been something that you said. I've not seen anything that confirms that they are doing that, and so I don't know. I mean, if there's something that
you haven't seen the press conferences when they say it,
where anybody who has it, whether they die specifically from it or they died for something else and they just happen to be positive, is what it sounds like you're saying.
And that's what they said in 2 different press conferences.
So they said that,
yes.
Okay. I mean, if they say it at a conference, then so be it. I guess that part is what it is. But for me, that doesn't minimize the what should be the heightened sense of being careful with regards to it. You know, I think it's silly that you attach a gunshot death to, you know, COVID when the person had COVID, but they died by violence. But that doesn't keep me from seeing the legitimate cases of COVID and cause me to think that the conspiracy theory is so big that they're just inflating the numbers. That's not, I guess what I'm getting at.
I'm not saying that they're just inflating the numbers.
I guess what I'm saying is that is not enough, because it comes off when you say it, as long as you've been saying it, because you've been saying that for as long as it has been since you lost your friend, since you lost your friend. To me, that does not feel like enough for me to say there's some nefarious things going on with numbers. if that makes sense. Because I'm seeing enough in my own experience. You've seen that in your experience. I receive and I respect that. Respect that. Hostile, respect that. But I've seen enough in my own experience to say that people in a hospital and they sick as hell when they was not sick as hell 2 weeks ago, and now they dead. And they dead from something that's going around. It's clearly going around. Now, if you want to say that this gunshot victim died of COVID, even though we know that one between the eyes is what really took him out, I got nothing. I got nothing. But when you talking about people who we know that are 35, 45, 55, 25-year-old men and women who have never shown propensity to be sickly, who have gotten this and they are now gone, that is where I'm going to plant my flag. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J, live from New Den, Legacy and that radio. Let me get some social media love in. My family, my sister, Lady Z, is checking in. She's saying peace. Give my baby some love and give them kisses for me. Greg is saying people need to do their own due diligence, whether you get it or not. Agree with that. Kaleem is saying the virus is here. Is it going anywhere? Man, worst fear is virus and outbreak. Agree with that. And Greg comes back and say that happened to my mother. And our sister Melinda, my sister, is checking us out. And I love you and I appreciate you. Solid. Lady Z says, I sure will. So we got love coming in from the family. We got love coming in from the family and social media. And John, the con is yours. What you got?
My thing is this. I don't disagree with anything you said. But my point is, when you don't address things, you breed controversy unnecessarily. Right? How many lives would you have saved if you just told the truth? If you just kept adequate numbers? Yeah, this many people died because the COVID killed them. This many people died and happened to test for the virus. How many people would not fall for the bullshit excuse that the right wing nuts is dropping if they were just honest about it? How about if they just said this vaccine is more of a treatment than an actual vaccine by the medical journal standard, because it's not going to stop you from catching it or spreading it. It's going to stop you from getting sick and dying. And if you don't want to get sick and die, we suggest you take it, right? Especially if you have pre-existing conditions. And how about this? Most people who died, over 90% of people who died because of COVID that killed them, they were obese. How about we got a problem in this country with weight? We're an obese country, right? And that is a main issue in sickness and in health. But you can a 12-ounce bottle of water costs you more than a 36 or 48 bottle of soda. Right? I can get a 2-liter soda for 79 cents and a bottle of water for $2. Okay? So there's shit in the game here. And that's all I'm saying. They could alleviate if the matter was saving human lives, if that was the matter, these things would be addressed a lot differently. And that's where I stand with it.
I just think that while I don't disagree with what you're saying, John. I mean, I'm not oblivious to the fact that this is what this country's done forever. You know, I mean, this isn't something that's new. Unfortunately, it's something that's gripping the world as it is right now. But I mean, the word vaccine sounds a lot more reassuring than treatment. You know, somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to get a cancer vaccine. I'm going to get vaccinated for cancer." You thinking to yourself, okay, they've come up with a vaccine for cancer. I'm going to get cured for cancer. You say you're going to get treatment for cancer. I still got the disease. I'm just going to go ahead and just get treated for it so it can dispel any symptoms or any sickness or any illness that I'm going through at this moment.
But isn't that important with an infectious disease?
I agree. Let people know? I agree. No, 100% that they need to know that. But at the end of the day, we're only going to get 20% of what the real deal is. You know, no matter what it is that we try and do, you know, for those individuals that go ahead and try and squash those conspiracy theories, they're going to get vilified, because you're going to have those people that are for the vaccine, people that are against the vaccine, people that are funding the vaccine are all going to shit on those people. And you're going to get that continuously. That's going to be a continuous cycle. We're not going to get the full story. And at the end of the day, people are going to have to just take I hate to say this, but are going to have to just take their luck. Just try their luck on what it is that they're going to get with this vaccine. Because in all honesty, do you really think we're going to get the full story about what this is going to do?
No, and that's Mark, why I said a couple of weeks ago I gave up on it.
Yeah, we're not going to get the full story about what the capacity of this vaccine will do long term, to the point where 5 years down the line, somebody told me, "Oh, 5 years, I'm not getting this vaccine because 5 years down the line, government's going to hit a switch and we all going to be zombies. We all going to all start going crazy."
I heard people talking about the 5G network was the cause.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Come on. We're talking about two different things
altogether. These are the people who are the loudest ones that are pushing the narrative, and this is why I get frustrated with anti-vaxxer is one thing, but if you pushing conspiracy theory when you got vaccines already in you, you know what I mean? Like people who are anti-vax, who are anti COVID vaccination, who already got vaccinations in them, I need them to tell me what's different about the one they got when they was 10 or 12 or going to high school or going to college or whatever it was, because vaccination is for life. So you don't get to tell me, well, that was a long time ago. You don't get to do that. You don't get to say, well, I got that when I was a kid. You don't get to do that. If you've got vaccination in your life, right? And now this one all of a sudden is going to be the one that's going to make your head swell up and your earlobes fall off and your toes curl up and your skin to rot and you get all of these weird ass things that's going to happen to you. Or I'm clowning, but you don't know, or I don't know what's going to happen, or I got to wait, I got to find out. Like, what you got to wait and find out? Because if you get coronavirus, the first thing you're going to do is go to the hospital and you're going to take whatever medicine they give you to get better. And you're going to be in there wishing that you had the vaccination. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what are we talking about here? If you somebody who is like, you know what, it's not something I do, I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to move on, and you be quiet about it, then cool. But if you that person and you talking all of this trash about how it's terrible and it's a chip and all of this conspiracy theory that you read on the internet that nobody scientific has confirmed or co-signed, it's like, come on, man. You are contributing to the problem. You better off for us. You trying to help? Shut up. If you trying to help. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you need to be going around telling anybody they need to get it. I'm not doing that. I'm not somebody that's going around telling people they need to get it. I ain't never done that. But what I won't do is tell somebody that it's a terrible thing to do. I'm not going to tell somebody you got to do it. I'm not on any side of this. Any choices I made on this, I made for me, and I made for mine.
Yeah, especially when you go ahead and you recite a tagline from your favorite senator that you donated to, and on his or her perception of what this vaccine is, because that's a lot of what it is that you're getting from those individuals, because they're not thinking for themselves, they're not doing their research, and the unfortunate part about it is like some of the research that you actually are getting is not complete. It's not even fulfilling enough for you to go ahead and ease your fears about this. I know plenty of people that have gone ahead and gotten the vaccine that are still very, very, very weary about what they put in their body. But they looked at it as, okay, it's the lesser of two evils. I'd rather be somebody that went ahead and got this vaccine, and the potential of me getting this virus is very small and minimal, as opposed to me not getting this virus and me ended up on a ventilator or end up having to say goodbye to my family and friends on Facebook, on FaceTime. That's the unfortunate part about where we are with this situation right now.
Who you going to be? What you going to do? What part of this do you fall on? Are you going to be a part of the misinformation, trying to make your point, trying to sound smarter than everybody else? Because that's part of what it is for some folks. Some folks just want to sound smarter than everybody else. These are the same people who want to have the first note on Facebook when something comes up. You want to be the first person to post it. You want to make sure that everybody hear from you. It's like, come on, man. Like, are we being productive?
So you do understand why people say there's a chip in it, right?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay. Every dose.
It sounds like like nonsense.
I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
And any doctor who works with this will tell you this. Every dose.
My doctor ain't never said nothing
That's
about no
because you
chip.
didn't ask. It's not a chip. Every dose is codified. There's a code on anybody who has the vaccine. They got a code and there's a number on there for the dose that you took, right? Every single dose has a traceable enzyme within the dose to say whether or not you got that dose. You can't be tracked with it, but because people have fake cards, right? They get dose diagnosed numbers from pharmacies and doctor's office, and they make these cards and they use. But if you get caught up in a situation and test it, they can tell whether or not you got the dose that's in that card. And if you don't have the dose that's in that card, and you found doing something that you wasn't supposed to do with a fake card, you can face some serious jail time. So people are like, oh, that's a chip. They can find out where you at. No, they can't. They got to have you someplace and blood test you to find out what dose that you took. And the dose has to match the card on that, right? It's not a chip, right? I forget what they call it, RVN technology, some kind of technology that's in it that allows it to be traceable.
Not seeing a problem yet.
Right. I don't have, but I'm telling you why people are saying there's a chip.
And I think when we give so much energy to bullshit, then we make bullshit real.
But where do the people in charge, where do the big brain people come in and explain to everyone so that they're not thinking?
But they not.
You're not gonna get an argument from me on that.
They're gonna have those same people who see a meme on the internet or something allegedly tied to some news outlet with Bill Gates' picture on it, with Jeff Bezos' picture on it, or somebody along those lines that has ties to the government that said Bill Gates influenced, Bill and Miranda Gates influenced whatever happened with this COVID vaccine. I've seen that meme. Right. I've seen that meme, and they go ahead and say, okay, so Bill Gates, he worked for Microsoft, so he must be working with the government to go ahead and put the chip in the vaccine so they can go ahead and track all of us and conspiracy this, conspiracy that. That's part of where that's coming from, and that's all going to be hearsay. That's all going to be what one person sees and what they go ahead and spread. That's like that shitty telephone game when you got 10 people lined up. The first person gets what it was that they were told, and by the time you end up, somebody's talking about a turkey and a chicken.
So now, Marcus, do me a favor.
It just
tell me how many Americans are under the age of 16.
I got nothing on that.
Look it up. Find it for me.
Okay. All right.
Right?
We'll keep going.
And the reason I say that is because about 200 million people have received a vaccine. So what that tells me is the majority of Trump voters got the vaccine, right? Because 70-something million voted for him, right? So everybody that got it ain't Democrat. And everybody who got it didn't vote for Biden. So there's a lot of Trump followers who got the vaccine. So what I'm saying is if you eliminate the kids, right? If you eliminate the kids who are ineligible to receive it versus the doses we have, we pretty much got the whole country vaccinated. Why is it still an issue? Because at 75%, we're supposed to achieve herd immunity, right? But why is it an issue now? Why do they want to vaccinate the babies now? Right? There's a lot of things at play here that give, and that's all I'm saying. When you don't answer the simple questions, you give the nut jobs reason to argue and have this problem. And the end goal of that is loss of life, right? So I gotta feel that they're doing this for a reason to keep the conversation going. Because if they put an end to all this nonsense and just answered the simple questions and explained it to people, there would be no room for these people to launch these big scale nonsensical ideologies.
I think personally, some of them don't even know. They don't know what the outcome is actually going to be at the end of the day. I don't think some of these actual people have an actual clue as to what the long-term effects of what this vaccine is. Unfortunately,
nobody does. My doctor told me we're watching science unfold in real time.
In real time,
it's something the public doesn't get to see. And because of that, we don't know what we don't know.
Well, no, because you
Right.
never had it.
But
Never...
here's the thing with that, though. That is the most honest thing that can be said. And I agree with that. And I'm glad that your doctor told you that. And I think anybody with common sense would take that comment and look at science and move towards science as opposed to moving towards conspiracy theory. Knowing what you just said, because see, that's always been my interpretation. We are watching this. It's a novel virus. Novel means new shit. Like, we don't know what the hell this thing's supposed to do. And so we trying to fight it real time. And as we learn, we're going to tell y'all, which they doing. That's why the mask mandate keeps changing, or was changing early on. That's why who can get the vaccine has been changing, because it's a novel virus.
Just like the
and
distance
I think,
and the amount of time that you had to quarantine.
but there's some things that just should be common sense. Like, you shouldn't have to tell people don't spill hot coffee on yourself. But we live in a country where you can go into a place, buy hot coffee, spill it on yourself, and then sue the people you just bought it from. We live in a country where you can do that. You can sue the people who you just bought hot coffee from and spill it on yourself and sue them because it was hot coffee. Like, we live in a litigious type of society where people don't use common sense. Common sense ain't as common as it should be. So when we don't get the information, it's not explained to us as plainly as it should, as you suggested, and as I agree with your suggestion, you end up in a place where you got people thinking that a virus can chip you, a vaccination can chip you. It's like, come on, man. I want to respect people, but we live in a country where they give you the 6:30 news on a 6th grade level because they know that most of America is not intelligent enough to be able to absorb it on a level that it should be given to them on. And that ain't no shade. Look it up. They give you the 6 o'clock news on a 6th grade level, middle school, because most people can't comprehend much more than that. What you should be able to comprehend is your mother, your sister, your father, your brother, your friend, the nice lady from down the street, pastor, the dude that checked you out at the store that you go to, the dude that rides the motorcycle in the neighborhood, all them gone. Why? Because they didn't wear a mask or they didn't get a shot. And they was wilding. In some cases, they took every precaution that you can take. They wore a mask. They got a shot. And they still died. That tells me that what we're dealing with is real. And I would much prefer, when we're talking about life or death, take the precautions that have shown to be positive, whether you agree with the person giving you the information. Use your common sense that many of us ain't even got, and don't die. And don't give it to me so that I don't die.
So why do you believe that during the height of this pandemic, all flights were not grounded?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, all flights,
too much money to be lost.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, that's the
because
answer.
I don't care what nobody say, right? If you ask any medical expert to go in a room with people who have coronavirus, and you have a choice to wear a mask, not one of the masks that they wear for HasCon, but a regular mask that you buy at the store, or everybody in that room got to stay 6 feet away from you, they will say, give me the room where everybody stays 6 feet away from me, because that's far more effective way of preventing the disease than the mask. But they tell people, get on the plane with your mask on, but you can take it off while you drinking soda. And every piece of air in that plane is being recycled for 4, 5, 6 hours.
But the other thing that they've told you that is easy to forget is that you have to have sustained time with someone exposed for it to be transmitting. So, keeping with the science, the way it was told to us, being on a plane or being in a restaurant and having your mask on with minimal amount of time with it not on, meaning, yeah, you can take a drink or yeah, you could take a bite. That ain't long enough for it to transmit.
But
the way the science has been given to us from the very beginning is sustained time in small quarters with people is where in tight spaces is where you might run into a problem. So if I'm on an airplane and everybody's got a mask, let's say 100 people on this airplane, everybody's got a mask, and every couple of seconds somebody takes their mask off to take a bite or take a sip, that is a minimal exposure type of environment, because for the most part, most of the people in that space have a mask on and they're not exposing their germs into the realm.
That is really untrue.
It's the science.
Because the science will tell you.
That's the science.
The science
That's
will
what
tell
they're telling you.
But they lying to you, because the science will tell
lying.
The science will tell you that.
I can't do nothing with that,
wait,
John. You telling me?
Well, let me break it down. If
okay.
you telling me what it is, the science will tell you that you have two types of infection: bacterial and viral. Right? You understand how small a virus is? There's no mask that you could buy in a store that will stop a virus from getting to you. Just isn't. The mask is for things like sneezes and coughs, things to that nature, where there's some fluid or something that the virus could attach to that'll land on the mask. But just having people breathing that close to you in the same space with air circulating on 3, 4, 5-hour flights is not a reasonable level of exposure when you're trying to save people's lives, right? The mask has a specific use. It's not viruses or microbes, right? They go through those masks. Unless you got a HazCom mask specifically designed like the blue suit when people was getting Ebola and coming over here. If you don't got one of those, it ain't doing nothing. You'll do better to stay away from people.
Well, the mask is said that to actually protect us. I mean, to protect other people from us. The reason why you have the mask on is to protect other people from us. So, for example, if you are sick, if you have the disease, if you have a virus, if you have a cold, you putting the mask on yourself, yeah, you're going to have those microbes that get through it, but it prevents it more effectively, you having the mask on yourself, than you passing it on to somebody else.
It absolutely helps. I'm not saying it don't help.
And it also helps from you actually contracting that you contracting that virus in yourself with you having the mask on.
But what
let me stop you, because I want to get social media. There's a bunch of comments that we haven't gotten in. Let's see. Hold tight. Social media, I see y'all there. All right. Melinda says about the flights not being grounded, definitely money. And the air in the plane is less recycled than you think. And the reality of the situation proves that what they are saying is more true than not. She is a flight attendant by trade. She says we kept flying, and yet more flight attendants should be dead because we were exposed constantly. If what you are saying is true, Greg is agreeing with her. So true. Let me just say this before I'll give you back the mic, but I just don't agree with what you're saying. The science says we good, and you say we not. You're not the science. I'm going to listen to the doctors. I'm going to listen to the science. And I also know that we've not heard or seen or been exposed to any news that said that large-scale spreads of virus has happened on airplanes. Now, if we're hearing that, and I've flown quite a bit in the last few months, I've taken it, and just in the last few months, I've taken at least close to 10 flights. And what I have seen is people, for the most part, begrudgingly wearing their mask and being told to wear their mask. But if I go back to what the science has told us from the very beginning, and I think we get lost on that. We get lost on it because we want to say what we want to say. We want to absorb what we want to absorb. We want to believe what we want to believe. The science has said from the very beginning, stay away from people. Stay outside of 6 feet. But if you can't, wear a mask. If you wear a mask and the person that you with is wearing a mask, you are less likely to have transmission. If I'm standing with someone with no pants on and they pee on me, I'm going to get that pee all over me. But if I'm standing next to someone, that same person who's wearing a pair of pants and they try to pee on me, that pee is going to stay on them. It ain't going to get on me. Put your damn mask on.
Okay, so don't get it twisted. I'm not an anti-masker, right? What I'm saying to you is that Again, this is all about the messaging. This is all about what people know and understand. The reason it isn't more contagious on flights and stuff because they put filters. They put special filters in the air in the on the planes. They outfitted them. They disinfect after every flight, and there's a lot of stuff going on to keep people safe, right? But at the same time, what I'm saying to you is on a long flight, when you getting served stuff, your mask is off more times than it's on, right? Because I've seen people on the flight, they sitting there with that little drink on their tray and them pretzels or whatever, and they mask is down for as long as that drinking tray is on their thing. So yeah, wear a mask because it helps, right? But stop acting like, oh my God, if you don't wear a mask, you're writing your own death sentence. Because you get people, again, on the other side to come back with nonsense arguments against wearing a mask.
But if
any little bit helps, right? And you want to help. You want to get look, if it's a 0.1% chance that it's going to help you, wear the mask.
Right.
Full stop. That's it. But again, these are the things that are providing the argument on the nutcase right side and some on the left side too, because there's some left people that's anti-vaccine too, right? It's providing these people with all this energy to deal with it because they won't address it because someplace, somewhere, it breaks down to the money. Because again, it's not really about the toll on human life. Because if it was, we would not have people starving to death.
None of it has anything to do with the toll of human life. It's always going to come back to the dollar. It's always going to come back to the dollar. Just like they say, a disease that has a cure is not something that's profitable to a medical company. You know, people that end up with cancer, they're not going to get a cure for it. They're going to get a treatment for it. People with diabetes, they're not going to get a cure for it. They're going to get a treatment for it, so they can just keep milking and milking and milking and milking. This thing with the corona is not going to be anything different. It's not going to be anything different. These people that end up selling these masks are making money hand over fist. These people that are going ahead and producing these vaccines, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, they're making money hand over fist.
Yeah, because you're going to have to go get your booster shot.
The booster shot is coming.
That's what's coming up.
The booster shot is coming because you hear about it. You're hearing about it in the news already. Up top in New York, New Jersey, they're already talking about in New York, they're going to start offering the booster shot. I think it's September 20th.
September
20th, they're going to start offering the booster shot, I think, in New Jersey. You know, to the point where some people haven't even gotten the regular shot, and they got people there have been more people that have gotten the first shot than have gotten the second shot. And that's just tantamount to them saying, okay, well, you know what? I got the first shot. I'm thinking, you know what? This is all BS anyway. I'm just going to get the first one, and it's going to help me. It's going to protect me, which is BS.
Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J live from New Day and Legacy and that radio. Our brother Sam says, just my opinion. I've been thinking it's better to have and not need than to need and to not have. I can dig that, Sam. My cousin Tony says, if the science was followed to the letter from the start, we would be in a much better place right now. Some people are just plain stupid. Peace, my brother. You already know, cuz. I agree with you, big cuz. I mean, if the science had been followed from the very beginning, if we had leadership who was able to disseminate that science in a way that would be absorbed in nationally, I think that we would be in a better place. You know, it's easy to blame everything on the last guy, but the reality is the last guy did not take this serious. He said it was going to go away and it's not that serious and you don't need to worry. And when he got it, he made a point of making a scene about snatching his mask off and all this kind of stuff. Like, what the fuck was all that about? Like, why? You have to ask yourself why? When you rocking with this dude and you saw how he acted over a disease that killed your mama, killed your daddy, your kids is gone. You had him in a state yesterday in Alabama. His peoples booed him when he suggested getting the vaccination. Why? Because it's too late now. It's too late now. You don't get to say it now. You should have said it when it was important, when you had to pull to get these people to actually do it. Can't say it now.
And
ain't nobody surprised they booed him.
Be a lot less people dead.
It'd be a lot less people dead if he would have took it serious. Or didn't even say nothing. Don't say nothing. But don't walk around and act like it ain't nothing. You walked around and you acted like it wasn't nothing. And people are dead because of him. Right? They are. And here we are in this conversation because the leadership was so spotty. It was so messed up. Arrogant and misplaced and nonsensical. Where you had what would normally be considered logical thinking, intelligent people questioning science, talking conspiracy theory, talking about long-term effects for a vaccine when you already got a bunch of them running through your veins already. When you know if you get sick, what you gonna do? You gonna stay home and you gonna take some Robitussin? You gonna put some tussin on that damn corona? Word, you gonna get a BC, right? Maybe have some ginger ale. No, your ass going to the hospital and you're gonna take whatever medicine they give you, but you don't want to get the vaccine because you know what's in it. You sound stupid.
Ginger ale help everything though.
With 2 O's, stupid. 5 O's,
like 10 O's.
Stupid is how you sound to me.
10 O's.
Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in that radio. Greg says the science is there. It's the people who report it or how they report it is what the agenda. That's John's point. I 100% agree with you on it, just like I 100% agree with John on it. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in that radio. All right, so listen, it's the top of the hour, and we can go into other stuff, but we ain't gonna. We're going to move towards the close of the show. Unfortunately, it's that time because John and Damon and I enjoy spending so much time with each other. This is part of the show, and Steph was here the same with her, that we would be remiss if we didn't tell you guys, damn, it's almost over. But that's what it is. All right, on this day, this week, 1831, Nat Turner leads 60 enslaved blacks in a rebellion in Southampton, Virginia, that leaves 55 whites dead. Turner and dozens of other black participants are later executed. Definitely make sure y'all look up Nat Turner because there's so much more to that story. And it's a trip for me because I've had folks say to me, why do you celebrate the story of Nat Turner? He was murderous and all this stuff. Like, I ain't never heard nobody black say that to me. But like, it's 1831. It's slavery, and y'all fucking with us, and you had somebody that said, I ain't going for it, I'm going to die, but y'all not going to do this to me. Why would I not celebrate that? Why would I not celebrate that? In a world where we die for selling cigarettes or buying guns in gun stores or playing with a toy gun at 12 years old. Why would I not celebrate almost 200 years ago, a brother saying, nah, I ain't going for it. I'm about to kill all y'all. Y'all gonna have to take me with y'all because I'm going out in a blaze of glory. Why would I not celebrate that? Y'all tripping with that. On this day, today, August 23rd, 1989, I remember this, as I'm sure John will, as I'm sure Damon will. Black teen Yusef Hawkins is accused of visiting a white girl and then is murdered by a white mob in Bensonhurst. Absolutely remember that. Last one I'll give. Nope. Not gonna give that one. I already gave that one. Let's see. Give one more. 1923 this week. 1923. Black farmhand Ben Hart's body is found in Jacksonville, Florida, after he is killed for allegedly peeping in the white woman's room. He is later exonerated. They killed him. He didn't even do that. He might have been all the way into sisters. He didn't even like white girls, but they killed him for looking at one. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J. Live from New Den, Legacy, Internet, Radio. All right. At this time, we always make sure we profile missing and or exploited child. Tonight is no different. Tonight, we're looking for Decor Morris. Decor Morris has been missing since August 19th, right here in the Cap City, more specifically, Henrico. He is a 17-year-old black male who stands 5'9" and weighs 260 pounds. Decor was last seen wearing a white shirt and black pants. He requires medication and may be in the need of medical assistance. If you've seen Decor Morris, please contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. If you're also in the Richmond, Chesterfield, Henrico area, we are also looking for Trayvon Williams, Chesterfield County more specifically. He has been missing since this weekend. He is a 16-year-old black male. He stands 5'8", weighs 140 pounds. He goes by Trey. Last seen this weekend. He requires medical attention and medication and may be in need of medical attention. If you've seen Trayvon Williams, also known as Trey, please contact the Chesterfield County Police Department at 804-748-1251, or either of them. If you have seen Trayvon Williams of Chesterfield, Virginia, or Decor Morris of Henrico, Virginia, both part of the capital city here in Richmond, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children at website missingkids.org, or contact them by phone at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Lady Z, my sister who I love, is saying good show, fellas. And my brother Sam, who is my man, 50 grand, is saying checkmate. It is time for us to take this home. John, you got the con. Please take us home, my brother. What is your rant? What is your closing? What you got, bro?
My rant is a simple one. It's about to be election time in November. And it's not for president. In most places, it's not for governor, mayor, anything. But it's election time. Get out and vote, people. In your local community situations, it is so much more important that you vote in these elections, because these are the people who make things right for you in your community and eventually spread out further. Right? So please just get out and vote for your sheriff, for your judges, for your community organizers, for everybody that's on the ballot. Here in the Cap City, we got the casino coming up. We need your votes on the casino, Richmond. We need that casino one, the first black-owned casino in the country. Right? We need that here. Get out and vote for it. Stop playing with it. It's going to bring a lot of money to us. Right? So that's really my only rant. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Get the vaccine or don't. But like Marcus said, shut up about it. Because your business ain't nobody else's business. And you don't want to influence people because everybody's situation ain't the same. The three people in this room will probably not get sick and die from COVID. That's what the science says. We probably won't. But it's a small chance that we could. Right? So most of y'all fall in that same category. Most of y'all probably won't get corona and die. But you know what? It's possible. Just think about that. And that's my rant.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy, Internet, Radio. Thank you, John, and I appreciate your intellect and your wisdom and how you move. I rocks with you, brother. So thank you. Shout out to my sister Melinda. Says always great when I get a chance to listen. Peace and good night. Peace and good night to you as well. Thank you for rocking with us tonight. I appreciate you, Damon, for being here. I mean, you my brother, man. I fucks with you. You're my brother. And we've been rocking for a long time. And any opportunity that I have to spend time with you is a good day for me. But when you come into my space like this, it's even more a good thing for me. So I'm so glad that you're here. I'm glad, that you got to spend time with John. The energy that we had tonight is a different dynamic because we didn't have any feminine energy. It's lions in here doing what lions do, sharpening our tools. You know what I'm saying? Iron sharpens iron. And we was doing that tonight. So I appreciate John, obviously, and I appreciate you being a part of it. Whenever you come to town, which recently seems to be a lot, but when you come to town, it's even better. We get to have you come in here and you get to rock the mic. So it's time for you to rock the mic with your own rant, your own closing. What you got, my brother?
Oh man, I don't even have a rant really, bro. I just, one of the things I do want to talk about, I do want to mention is support mental health. Mental health is important. You know, we had a great weekend this weekend, bro. We got to do a lot of the things that you do on your regular journey to find peace, and I was along for the ride. I enjoyed myself. But one of the things I do want to say is that you should not at all. People out there listening, don't vilify mental health. I mean, it's something that's very important to do, and something that shouldn't be made fun of, shouldn't be shunned, shouldn't be something that's looked upon as being weak. I think everybody that has issues, whether that be anxiety, whether that has to be family issues, whether that has to be personal issues, whether that has to be just work issues, just even issues within yourself, self-esteem issues, relationship issues. I think those are things that people need to touch on, and people need to actually have an opportunity to speak to somebody about, not just your girlfriend or your boy, or somebody that you work with that you could talk over problems that you have, but somebody that's on a professional level that you can actually speak to, that can give you some sound advice, some person on the outside looking in advice, some real medical advice to help you out. I'm a big proponent of mental health and what you need to do for yourself in order to get yourself to a place that you want to get to, if you need that healing, that you need that support to get, please go out and do whatever you need to do in order for you to get that support, that help, that love from those medical professionals to help propel your life, to help make your life a lot more enjoyable, more livable. So I mean, that's my rant. I mean, I just want people to just be able to just do that, and not look at it as something that's a weakness. Not look at something that to be scared about. At the end of the day, so that's my rant. And just to say, John, I appreciate you, bro. You like Mark said, iron sharpens iron, and I don't necessarily always agree with everything that you say, but I respect your opinion wholeheartedly, bro. Me and you go back from riding the PAV train to Stevens every day. So we've had many an argument, and I love you to death, bro. I appreciate you letting me come out on the platform and
I had a pretty good one earlier today.
Yeah, we sure the hell did.
Yeah.
We sure the hell did. And just to keep in mind, you got to add like 3 more little slash on. He said fuck like maybe 3 more times.
You gave up?
I think he's up to like 7 or 8.
Fuck. Ain't no Hastel Marcus J live
That's
from New
9.
Dan Legacy in that radio. I am going to take us home. So thank you to John, and then thank you to Damon. I already gave y'all flowers. Y'all need no more. I appreciate y'all. At this time of the show, it's time for me to close us out. I said it earlier. You see my hat, and I got the VCU dad's hat, VCU dad's shirt, and Virginia Commonwealth University. Mama J goes to Virginia Commonwealth University, and it reminds me of when I landed at Virginia Union University 29 years ago this month. And it was a trip because I'm walking the campus with Mama J, last week we just had a nice little string of really cool stuff, man. Starting with Wednesday, we went to New York with my mom, and we went to Yankee Stadium. We went to see the Yankees play and bust up on the Red Sox, which was great. She'd been asking to go to Yankee Stadium. We went to Yankee Stadium. And then, her bestie goes to school in Brooklyn, New York. So we went to Brooklyn on Thursday. And then on Friday, we were back in Richmond, and we were walking the campus, Virginia Commonwealth University. And it was just surreal for me. It was so surreal for me because I remember being 18 years old, and I remember Pops J, bringing me to Virginia Union University. I remember homecoming when Pops J loaded up the car in Jersey City, New Jersey. And this is when he went from dad to pop. Like everybody understands
Pop.
when your parent moves from just your parent to someone that you understand as a person, as a man, as a woman, as a friend,
Mentor.
as a mentor. They shift, you know. And when I was 18, and that trip is when it shifted for me. My father got in the car in Jersey City, New Jersey, and he got my brother, Quiet B. He got my brother K Dub, and he got my brother Damon, who's been with us tonight. And he piled them in the car, and he brought them to Virginia Union University homecoming to come and kick it with me. And that's what was on my mind when I was with Mama J walking the campus. Like, yo, this is really some full circle stuff. I'm in the circle of life right now where I got a college student child and elderly parents. It's a weird space to be. Those folks who are in it, I'm sure you can, understand it. And it was just really cool to see the wonder in her eyes, the wonder of not knowing what's gonna come next, and being excited about it. And I remember it. I remember that feeling. I remember being on that campus and just being like, man, I'm 18 and ain't nobody here to tell me what to do or when I gotta go to bed or what time I need to be home or none of that kind of stuff. And it's a cool space to be, but it's also a full circle moment for me. And I never experienced this before, as most folks who have a child going to college for the first time haven't. I'm just so excited. I'm so proud of my baby. I'm so proud of her, and I hope she knows. And I'm so proud of her mother, my wife, who has done a great job of helping raise her with me. And it's a period in my life that I knew it was coming, and now I'm in it. It's like, wow. And I want to share with you guys, the listeners, because you have watched Mama J grow up. I started doing radio 10 years ago this month, 10 years ago next month. And she was 8 years old. And when you're 8 years old, you're going into I don't know, third grade, third grade, whatever it is. And actually going to college, it's like, wow, having a whole moment. And I'm sharing that whole moment with y'all because if you've been listening to Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J since the very beginning, I'm always going to be transparent about the personal stuff that I go through and how I feel. Not everything. Some shit I just don't want to fucking tell y'all. But the stuff I want to tell you, I'm going to be very expressive about. And this is one of them moments. I'm proud of my baby. I'm proud of my wife. I'm proud of my family. I'm proud of what we've created with this child. And I look so forward to watching what it is she's about to do. It's one of the greatest joys of my life. Being able to sit back and watch what it is she's about to do. Because I remember being in that stage and I remember not having a clue. I had no idea what I was going to do. And I'm sure she goes through elements of that. But again, going back to it, it's the circle of life. The circle of life, man. It's so great to be alive. It's so great to be living. It's so great to have children. It's so great to see youth. It's so great to see flowers growing and sunrises rise and the positivity of the next phase of your life. Sky's the limit, man. And I know I'm not the only one feeling this. And so for everybody who has got the kind of joy, maybe your child has graduated from the kindergarten. Maybe your child is on his or her way into middle school. Maybe they just finished the 8th grade. Maybe they just graduated from high school. Maybe they just graduated from college. Maybe they're getting married. Maybe they just had their first child. It's that circle of life. And you cannot give me a better high in any way in my life than the joy of parenthood. Love you, Mama J. That's the Murr. Marcus is unrelated. Ain't got nothing to do with here talking about the nice end of the show. Remind everybody independence is key to building your legacy. Want to say peace, all stars and squares. Remind you independence is the key to building your legacy. Want to say peace, all stars and squares. I also want to say that authenticity has no competition. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Be back next week. Next week's show, celebrating 10 years in radio. Marcus J and the crew and you be back next week, y'all. Peace.
Shout out to Messiah, Madison, and Dylan.
Oh, yeah. I'm with this. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready. Let's go. Ain't no half-stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you want to talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. We flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin is the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you want to talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.